All right. Daniel Mel here. Just wanted to respond to Marjorie Taylor Greene and Megyn Kelly's conversation. I'll go through it bit by bit. Pretty outrageous and full of quite a few lies. So it's important just to go through and understand exactly how things are being manipulated in the course of this conversation.
Knows, and I know where you stand too on Israel and all that, but I've been very pro-Israel, and I've been very defensive of their right to defend themselves in this nightmare.
Of course.
And I've been very defensive of American Jews on campuses who are just being harassed. It's ridiculous.
Of course.
I will add that my first appearance on national television actually was on the Megyn Kelly show at the 9 o'clock hour on Fox News. This is true. Megyn Kelly was and is a great supporter of American Jews on campus and Israel's cause on campus, which is what makes this interview all the more surprising.
But I have absolutely no skin whatsoever in defending any lobbyist group, including AIPAC.
Right.
So I would love to know what they do to get the loyalty of politicians, because I will say I have had multiple reach outs to me, both from friends and from connected people in DC, begging me to go to Israel with them.
Okay, being invited on a trip to Israel is not the same thing as AIPAC inviting you to go on a trip. I would be shocked if AIPAC invited Megyn Kelly to go on a trip to Israel. Jewish people or people that support Israel, Christians or otherwise, inviting Megyn Kelly to go to Israel is not AIPAC inviting her to go to Israel. And the reason why so many people support Israel is because many of Israel's goals, values, and needs align with those of the United States. The concept that this is some sort of misalignment or that this would be a bad pair is wrong. So right now, Megyn Kelly is constructing this straw man argument, and she knows this.
And I have said no every time. I'm just too busy. I have 3 kids. I have a full-time job. I'm not doing it. But lately it seems like it's coming to be even more, because I feel like there's a contingent of people who are worried that they're losing me.
Or how about the fact that she covers Israel multiple times a week? It's in the papers everywhere. It's the topic of discussion. The war with Gaza has been going on for close to 2 years. There are still 50 hostages, 30 of whom are deceased and 20 of whom are living. It could be beneficial for Megyn Kelly to see what's actually going on the ground, because she has such a large platform. So there's no nefarious motive. This makes a lot of sense why someone would invite her to go to Israel so she could actually see things for herself.
And I've said that you're not losing. I'm not on Hamas's side.
No, God, no. Nobody's on Hamas's side.
But it's been a while now that this has been going on.
Right.
And we're getting more involved with the Iranian bombing and so on.
Sure.
And my own feelings are, I'm looking at Israel in a different way right now than I was on 10/8, that's for sure, of 23.
Right.
And I can feel the pressure being slightly ratcheted up, like you're not allowed to. You're not.
Who is ratcheting up pressure? Again, these are very vague statements. We have no idea how to even respond to them because they're so vague. And the concept that there's some sort of pressure that's untoward is flat wrong. She will mention Tucker Carlson here. Tucker Carlson has had a bunch of crackpots on his show spreading all sorts of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. So when someone calls out Megyn Kelly and says, why are you having Tucker Carlson on your show if he is spreading anti-Semitic conspiracy theories? That's not pressure. That's a genuine question.
Allowed to. And I can see people like you, like Tucker, who I know Tucker. I've known him for years. And I've seen you in your early career. I know you have nothing against Israel.
Oh, gosh, no.
Never mind Jews.
Yeah.
That's all a lie. But,
right.
And I see the beatdowns coming. Like, you're not allowed. Like, you have to stay right on this lily pad.
Yes.
And you cannot jump to another neighboring lily pad, because it could take you all the way down the river away.
That's
so
right.
I'm very interested in this dynamic.
Yeah. Well, I find it fascinating that you're getting asked more and more and more. I've been asked more and more and more. Well, you're a person of very big influence. You've got a big voice. You've got a large audience. They also take a lot of influencers. They invite tons of influencers.
Many of whom have invited me. Like, we're all going together, and will you come? Like, they seem to be coming at me from a number of ways, which only really kind of raises my hackles. Like, I'm not going. I'm going to stay right here. I can cover this conflict from here, and I don't wish to be wooed by any side. I actually don't wish to be.
The concept that seeing things for yourself is wooing is not correct, and also strikes me as particularly disingenuous, because Megyn Kelly knows that there's an advantage to having people on the ground and actually seeing things yourself. So when they talk about the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, when you talk about what does Gaza City look like versus Khan Yunis, what happened in the kibbutzim, these are things that when you have firsthand testimony and you're able to see, touch, feel, it makes a difference. And she knows that. She worked at Fox News for many years. There was always a correspondent in the Middle East. Makes a lot of sense for someone to say, if you're going to cover this and want to be as informed as possible, why don't you go and meet with people who can offer information that would be of value?
Are you
persuaded?
Have you been invited by any other foreign country?
No.
Okay, that's the part, right? So we have tons of lobbyists, and
it's a foreign country that's in the middle of a war. I'm positive if Ukraine could ask Megyn Kelly to come, they would. It's also a place of historical importance for all of the major religions in the world. There's a different level of concern when it comes to Israel than just about anywhere else. And there's a religious aspect that appeals to so many people that they want to go because it's tapping into their heritage as well. So again, it's not a nefarious, some sort of influence operation. It makes sense from a journalistic perspective, and it's an opportunity to, quote unquote, kill two birds with one stone when you look at Megyn Kelly, who's a religious person, being invited to Israel to see historical religious sites.
Foreign countries' lobbyists that come to Washington, D.C., pretty much every country has some sort of representative. They have an ambassador they send to Washington. It's naturally in their interest. We can understand that. They also are required to register under FARA. It's a law. They have to register as a foreign agent, a foreign lobbyist. That is required. It's extremely important. Here's the difference with AIPAC. AIPAC is not registered under FARA, under this law that requires anyone coming to lobby a member of Congress or a senator or department of the government and the federal government on behalf of another country. So,
because AIPAC isn't doing that. AIPAC is a group of Americans that believe it's in America's interest to be aligned with our ally in the Middle East, Israel. That is why they're not registered under FARA, because it is not a FARA violation. It doesn't even pertain to FARA.
AIPAC argues, but we're Americans. Yes, they are Americans, but they are coming to Congress and to the federal government asking on behalf of the country of Israel.
No, they're not. This is a complete lie. She might be hinting at the fact that there's Jewish people who care about Israel, but that's not the same thing as coming on behalf of the Israeli government. It's just not the same thing.
And I fully agree with you, Megyn. We are not against Israel. We are all for their right to defend themselves, just as we are for any Jewish person on campus. Just as I think we could talk about young white males in high school that are constantly getting beat up.
Yeah.
Guess what? They should have a right to defend themselves too. And people should stand up for them as well. We think anybody that is a victim should be able to defend themselves. However, Israel is the only country I know of that has some sort of incredible influence and control over nearly every single one of my colleagues. And it is
influence and control. It's completely preposterous. It's playing into Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy theories. There's tons of disagreement, tons of voices in Congress, in Washington, around the country that very much dislike Bibi, that love Bibi, that think that Israel should be more aggressive in prosecuting the war, that think Israel shouldn't have gone in. There's tons of different opinions. The idea that they're controlled by Israel is flat out insane.
It is, I don't know how to explain it.
I mean, I believe it just given the amount of reach out I've had in this position.
So Megyn Kelly, as a journalist, has been invited to Israel a number of times. And therefore, she's saying that she believes that it's possible that there is tons of people controlled by Israel in Congress. Think about that for a second.
And I don't vote on anything. And if I had taken money, I could see them really thinking that they had a right to control my speech or, my positions, which is why I never have. Of course, I mean, in what context would I? I don't take advertising from, random people. Like I always say, I have Genucel, whose cosmetics are really nice.
We love good cosmetics.
Yeah, but I can't be bought by a special interest group, but I can see it because, look, no one wants to feel like their position has been bought and paid for, but these politicians, they have. And so I can see why AIPAC would get mad if these politicians then turned on them and didn't support. It's like, what did my 3,800 times 3 get me if you're not going to vote for my issues?
Exactly, because AIPAC are Americans, therefore they can legally donate to members of Congress and senators. So let's talk about how that works. AIPAC takes every single that they can, freshman member of Congress, their first year in Congress, they take them on a very special trip to Israel in August. August is our recess. It's our month-long district work period. That's
Dems and Republicans, or just Republicans?
They take both of them. Oh. Yes. And they invite pretty much everyone, to my knowledge. So they take them on this trip to Israel. I guess they go on tours all around. I didn't go, so I don't know what they do there, but they take them.
Okay. So she's talking about an issue that she's just acknowledged that she doesn't know what they do, but that doesn't actually get countered by Megyn Kelly here. Now the conversation just continues.
On tours, like the pictures we've seen recently of the speaker and other members of Congress at the Wailing Wall.
They've all gone.
They've all gone.
See them all.
And they wear the kippah. And even though they're Christians, the
Western Wall is the site of a shul, or a synagogue. It would be appropriate for men to cover their hair, as is customary in any synagogue anywhere in the world. The fact if they're Christian, Muslims, Jewish, it does not matter. That is the standard garb that one wears, a male wears in a synagogue. So this is Marjorie Taylor Greene's ignorance on full display here.
They're not Jewish, but yet they're adorning Jewish attire, and they're at these Jewish religious sites. Then they also meet with different members of the Israeli government. Now, we got to recognize the Israeli government is secular. This is not the biblical Israel. It is the secular government of Israel. And so they meet with their members of all throughout their government, and the prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, meets with them. And so they've done that trip already this month. The new freshmen and members of our leadership all went and they did that trip. Here's what else they do. AIPAC takes influencers. They take really big people like you. They want you to come over there. They want to pull you in because they want to pull you on their side. And why is that? Okay.
I would be shocked. Again, I would be completely shocked if AIPAC was running trips for journalists. I know of other organizations that care about Israel that do that, but I have never heard of AIPAC running it. Perhaps I'm wrong. I'd love to check this. And if I am, I'll insert it in the comments, but I've never heard of such a thing. And again, the line between what Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to say, Jews, and AIPAC, is pretty shaky here.
For members of Congress, every single year, annually, Israel receives, and we have to vote on it, it's a yes or no vote, $3.8 billion in funding for Israel. Now, what does that money mean? Well, they'll say, "Oh, well, this is for Israel. It's them to be able to defend themselves. They're the only democracy in the Middle East.
Yep.
They're constantly under attack. They're surrounded by their enemies who wants to annihilate them."
That's all true.
Sure, we're not arguing those points. However, let's flip over and look at, well, okay, well, what does this mean? Number one, Israel is doing so well with their economy, and I'm excited for them. This is a big deal. I wish we were doing this good. We're $37 trillion in debt. Israel is less than $400 billion in debt, less than. If you're an Israeli citizen, you have government funded healthcare and you have government funded college. So why is America having to give Israel $3.8 billion? If they're doing so great and they're funding healthcare and college, and their government is their economy is doing so well and their tax revenue is so good that they're less than $400 billion in debt, why is dead broke America having to send $3.8 billion?
All right, a few things to unpack here. One, I'm not actually going to get into the economic specifics that Marjorie Taylor Greene brings up, other to say that that is a legitimate conversation that one can engage in without framing the whole discussion as AIPAC's outsized influence and playing to stereotypes about Jews controlling government, controlling the media, and controlling how people think. That's the leap that is crazy. You can have an actual economic discussion about it. Now, Israel fits into the United States' view of its influence in the Middle East. That's a legitimate view from the United States and how they want to assert power in the Middle East. And Israel is their ally and is able to kind of be the fullback to the United States' running back. That has been a foreign policy doctrine of the United States. That is a very different discussion than saying that people are trying to influence you, buy you off, and the Jews are trying to control us, which is essentially what the conversation was up until this point.
Well, then they argue back and they go, "Oh, but this helps America's economy." Well, how is that? Tell me how it helps. Okay, well, because we buy money from your defense contractors. Although guess what? This is really interesting. We give a ton of money to all these foreign countries. And if it's military aid, they're required to purchase weapons from our defense contractors. Except Israel is the only one with an exception. They don't have to buy from our American defense contractors. They can use that money to buy from Israeli defense.
I don't think this is true, actually. I'm looking this up here. Can Israel use money from to buy from Israeli defense contractors? I think there was an exception to this, but I think Obama actually revoked it. This was some issue that happened when the war broke out on October 7th. It's a portion of aid. Yeah, it was phased out. So yeah, it's phased out by fiscal year 2028. So this is, again, a falsity that's being leveled against Israel. And again, you're talking about strategic alliances. Israel being on the front lines more than America is when it comes to military and defense work is actually a training ground and a way to actually see the effectiveness of different technology that's developed by America. So it's not as if Israel is the only beneficiary of this relationship. There is a lot that America gains from Israel.
Contractors.
Oh, wow.
So there's a funny little exception, just like the same exception that Israel has, that this just came from Judge McFadden. He just had a ruling that you can burn any flag in the United States of America, and including our own American flag, except you can't burn the Israeli flag in America.
Who said that?
Judge McFadden.
In what context?
In his court. It just happened.
Well, that's not going to be upheld.
Shouldn't be.
That's a violation of the First Amendment, blatant, and it will be struck down as soon as it goes up on appeal. What a ridiculous notion.
Wow, thank you, Megyn Kelly. How come it wasn't a ridiculous notion, anything else that Marjorie Taylor Greene said this entire interview, right? So right here, First Amendment issue, Megyn Kelly can actually hit it. She's very good at this. But when Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying all sorts of crazy things like, oh my God, Christians are wearing a kippah in a Jewish holy site. Wow. How come this isn't pushed back as ridiculous?
Should be. He said in what he wrote is that the Israeli flag, it's an identity, a race, and it would be a hate crime. Yeah.
Wrong.
Yes.
Wrong. That's getting struck down.
You see? So Megyn Kelly can say when things are wrong, except that the first 8.5 minutes of this interview, apparently the word wrong just disappeared.
But I see why you're raising it, because I'm picturing, look, I have a lot of very, very close friends who are Jewish, who are very big supporters of Israel. And some faction of them will say like, well, why would you platform an MTG? She's definitely gone anti-Israel. And I don't care whether you're anti-Israel or not. Any anti-Israel people are welcome here. Of
course,
you're allowed to have that view. It's a country that's involved in a war, and you don't have to be pro any country in order to come here. But I know you're not.
I'm not anti.
I know you're not.
Yeah.
Let's think about, just for a second, what it means to be anti-Israel. So you're saying that you are against Israel's right to exist. You are against the Jewish people having their own state in their ancestral homeland. So what ideas are actually banned from the Megyn Kelly show? It's also how you respond. As I wrote earlier on my Substack, I do not have a problem with Marjorie Taylor Greene coming on the show. I have a problem with the lack of pushback when she says BS. That's the heart of the issue. The issue is not that Marjorie Taylor Greene was on Megyn Kelly's show. Tucker, before he went completely cuckoo, used to have all sorts of voices on his show on Fox, and he would push back against them, and he would have actual discussions. Bill O'Reilly, Megyn too. That's what the audience wants and expects. And that is why people have an issue with an interview like this. It is not that people are quote-unquote platformed. I would love to have any member of Hamas or any member of Fatah or any member of Hezbollah come on Megyn Kelly's show and have to explain themselves. I would not complain about them being platformed. I complain when you don't actually push back, when they lie.
But I am also sensing, I discussed this with Charlie Kirk recently, how we're just getting to a place now. The more you tell me I can't talk to somebody or about something, the more I'm guaranteed going to do it. No one owns me, and I will talk about it, and I will hear you out, and I want to hear why you're having this kind of experience times 10,000. My little lily pad, and you're way down there, and I can see you getting.
Please bring specifics. Again, they get very vague right when push comes to shove, and right when you actually have to deal with a specific incident. All of a sudden, everything just disappears. Her conversation with Charlie Kirk was basically the same. Give a concrete example. Then we can respond. Until then, they're just smearing people that think there's an importance of having America and Israel aligned and working closely together.
Rain down on. And I don't like it, Marjorie. I have to tell you, I don't like it because this is America. You're allowed to have your view. Israel's not America. They're a friend to America, but they're not America.
No.
And we do have areas in which we have divergent interests. And it is our obligation, and yours especially as a representative, to say when you see a divergence you cannot reconcile.
Right.
Where you got to choose one.
Yes.
Right? That's what I see happening to you. So what happened? How did you find yourself in this place? Because you stopped voting for funding for the Israel war?
Yeah, it was easy for me. I'm a business owner. So right now I feel like I'm part of a board of 435 members of Congress, where we should act like an executive board of a company. And I feel like our company, the United States of America's federal government, is a company that has sirens blaring, and we are on the verge of literally imploding and going out of business.
Bankruptcy, yeah.
Massively. I also pay a lot of attention to our economy. Being a business owner in the construction industry, my success of my business, for as long as I've run it, rises and falls with the economy. And I'm very concerned. The cost of doing business is extremely high. The cost of living is extremely high. Insurance is completely out of control. Car, health, life insurance, business insurance, you name it.
Forget homeowners insurance. That's almost impossible to even find as an offering anywhere.
And if you're under 40, forget being able to buy a home.
Right.
They don't even have the hope
get a
of
job.
that.
I heard.
I'm going to cut this here, but to conclude, the substance of the discussion is not the problem. The problem is how it's framed. The problem is how there's all sorts of different groups that might be trying to actually help Megyn Kelly do a better job as a journalist are being grouped in with AIPAC, Marjorie Taylor Greene spreading all sorts of conspiracy theories. And then when push comes to shove and people are asking, it's framed as they're the truth about AIPAC and Israel's lobby power in Washington. It doesn't meet the standard that many people have come to expect from Megyn Kelly. And that's why people are speaking out, for no other reason. And let's hope that these kinds of discussions can actually be elevated and there can be more intelligent discussions instead of simply resorting to quasi-intellectual ways of avoiding real discussions.